It's time for the midweek edition of Weather for Weather Geeks. It's the Mahoning and Shenango Valley's most in-depth and geeky and detailed weather video. You're not going to find something like this anywhere else on TV or online for our region, so I hope you get a kick out of these videos and find them informative. I try to put as much effort into these as I can because this is my outlet to really get in-depth with you. I don't have time to get too crazy in depth on TV, where of course we have to stick to a schedule and are restricted to a couple or a few minutes each newscast to talk about weather. All right, quick review of today. Today wasn't the hottest day of the summer, but when you factor in the high humidity, high dew points, it sure felt like it. 87, our actual high today. The forecast was for 88, so we were within our 2-degree threshold this afternoon. So a new accuracy streak underway for 2017. 71% accuracy as far as being within 2 degrees for those daytime highs on the following day. So this will probably be the high water mark until the middle of next week, when we could see readings like this once again. The dew points, also a story today, of course. Boy, it just felt like we were in Miami or Orlando today, or New Orleans, with dew points peaking at 73 mid-afternoon at the airport, even holding at 69 degrees the last few hours. That is still very high. Not unusual at all for the middle of summer, but still quite high. All right, our big picture for tomorrow, 82. Our forecast, 82 is the average high at this time of the year. This is as warm as our average highs get. We have 82 for an average high for a couple of weeks here in July, and then we start that process of those averages going down, and that process takes us all the way through January, so let's not think about that. But yeah, we're at our climatological peak as far as temperatures go. Daylight tomorrow, 14 hours and about 54 minutes. The sunrise getting back after 6 o'clock now. Our sunrises reached their earliest point a few weeks ago, or about a month ago actually, with sunrises locally right around 5:52, 5:53, 5:54. And since then, we've lost about 7 minutes on the front end of the day. By the way, let me go back to that real quick. Our warmest temperature on record was set on this date in 1936, 102 degrees. That is the all-time record warmest temperature here in Youngstown. It occurred on July the, what is today, the 12th? Or tomorrow, I should say, the 13th, back in the very hot summer of 1936. All right, this evening, when I recorded Weather Geeks at 7:34, a couple of thunderstorms over in north central PA. The radar's quiet locally. It should stay that way for much of the night. What we're going to be watching overnight is this area right through here, where there's a severe thunderstorm watch up in Wisconsin. Doesn't look like much on the radar right now, but this will evolve into a bigger complex of storms that will then dive south and east. You'll see that here on our high-res FUTURECAST. I can't rule out a passing shower overnight, but it's a small chance. It's like a 20% chance kind of a thing. Tomorrow morning, as WFMJ today gets underway, Jess will be at the front yard facelift, doing a little outdoor weather during the show, and you know, there might be a shower around, but I think it's after WFMJ today, and as we get into the daylight hours towards 8, 9 o'clock, that complex of storms might roll through with a bout of heavy rain and some you know, some loud thunder. This will be right around mid-morning, probably starting to wind down by about 10 to 11 o'clock. So that's round number 1 of potential stormy weather for tomorrow. The National Weather Service in Cleveland, along with the Indianapolis and Wilmington offices, have flash flood watches out for all of these counties. Now in our local area, this includes Mahoning and Trumbull counties. The reason for the flash flood watch, flash flooding will be a concern over the next 24 hours or so because, boy, the atmosphere is juicy and efficient rain producers are heading our way. Now, this is a look at the atmospheric moisture, not only here at ground level where we live, but going up several thousand feet in the atmosphere. It's high right now, but look, it's actually going to moisten up during the day tomorrow. A meteorological term for this is precipitable water. It's basically saying, all right, if we look at the column of air above our heads, if we wring that out like a sponge, how much water is going to come out? And precipitable water values don't get much higher around here than 2 inches or so, and that's about where we'll be tomorrow. So the atmosphere is going to be really primed for tropical rains. When it rains tomorrow, chances are it's not just going to rain lightly. If it's going to be raining, it's going to be coming down pretty good. And that includes the first round in the morning and a potential second round as we get into the late afternoon and evening, which I'll talk about in a second. So very high moisture content in the atmosphere tomorrow. And then here's our front on Friday coming through, still muggy for a lot of the day. I think the dew points will start to drop off towards sunset. Should be a pretty pleasant evening, Friday evening, to get outside. It'll be dry. And the humidity will be lowering, and that'll set the stage for a nice weekend as well, as the really juicy air is shunted off to our south. So here's round number 1 tomorrow morning. Now, it'll be interesting to see what happens here tomorrow morning and during the afternoon. It's hard for us to get a big severe weather day in the afternoon and evening when we have thunderstorms and rain and clouds in the morning. It can still happen if the conditions are right, but it makes it harder. So will tomorrow morning's activity be a limiting factor for the severe weather risk tomorrow afternoon? That's one of the questions that's out there right now, and don't quite have the answer to it yet. It'll kind of just depend on how things evolve tomorrow morning. But as we get into the afternoon tomorrow, notice where the latest modeling tries to put most of the afternoon storms south of where the morning activity was, in the more unstable air down towards I-70. That's what the latest modeling has. So we'll keep an eye on these trends overnight tonight. But nonetheless, we do have at least the risk for some severe weather here tomorrow. Not probably so much in the morning, although I can't rule it out. I think the higher risk is probably in the afternoon, but let's not sleep on that morning cluster coming through, because even if we don't have damaging winds with it, there could certainly be enough rain to cause some problems across parts of the valley tomorrow morning. All right, so we're in what we call a slight risk for severe weather tomorrow. I have this evening timing looking like this, kind of a window of 4 to 10 p.m. with a threat for heavy rain once again, flash flooding concerns, and also isolated tornadoes, something that can't be ruled out tomorrow. It's not something we really want to emphasize too much, but there is a little bit of twisting going on in the atmosphere tomorrow, with the wind at the surface out of one direction and then the wind aloft out of a slightly different direction, and maybe just enough turning of that wind aloft as you go up in height that it wouldn't be totally shocking if we had a spin-up twister somewhere around the region, but it's a low-end chance. Don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but it is a high enough chance that we want to mention it, just not emphasize it too much at this point. So it's a good time, of course, to have the 21 Storm Tracker weather app. It's the best weather app for our region, hands down, and it's certainly better than your pre-installed iPhone weather app, which just has little icons on it. Any national weather apps, some are better than others, some are pretty good, some are not so good, but none of them have what you can get on the 21 Storm Tracker weather app, including instant notifications from us here in the Weather Center, human forecasters. Anytime we do live streaming coverage, you can watch it on the app. Few videos a day, recorded videos, in addition to the live stuff, and of course links to my blog and all sorts of other great content on the 21 Storm Tracker app. All right, so with that plug out of the way, let's take a look at Friday. Here's the day our front's coming through, and before the front comes through, and it might take until the first part of the afternoon, we've got to allow for a shower or a thunderstorm or two, but I think it'll be a pleasant evening. I think Saturday can start with a deck of stratus clouds or stratocumulus clouds, but those should clear out in the afternoon as high pressure builds in from the west. That'll set the stage for a great Saturday night and a very nice summer day coming up on Sunday. Real quick look at the longer range trends here. There's not much of a trend to pick out as far as temperatures go over the next couple weeks. There's going to be some hot days. There's going to be some more comfortable days. But in general, and I've talked about this a couple of times this week, in general, the pattern is going to feature a northwest flow aloft, where the ridge position is going to be kind of out here, and the flow around that is like this. And what that means for us is we're going to have a hard time getting into the core of the heat for more than a day or two at a time. So we're not going to see much in the way of a few days in a row where it's 95 degrees like we can see sometimes in July. It doesn't look likely over the next couple of weeks. In this northwest flow, which we're in right now, and it looks like we're going to continue in for a lot of the next couple of weeks, it can be an active pattern. Now, sometimes the northwest flow will bring in some dry air, but also in the middle of summer, what we get sometimes are what we call ridge runners, storms blowing up on the top side of the ridge and then cascading down through the Midwest into the Great Lakes, and kind of like what we're going to have tonight, storms in Wisconsin diving southeast. And that can spell kind of an active pattern as far as precipitation goes. Here's a look at the latest climate modeling as we look at 10-day chunks here. You can see there's kind of a wet-looking signal here for the rest of July. The blue and purple colors are above average precipitation. There's kind of a signal there through the end of July that we might end up being on the above average side in terms of rain from now through the end of the month. So we'll see how that pans out. Not looking like a lot of sustained heat, but potentially an active kind of a stormy pattern for the next couple of weeks. All right, more updates this evening, including the hour-by-hour forecast for tomorrow. I'm going to be tweaking those morning rain chances so you can plan your day. And more updates on the severe weather threat, not only on social media, but on 21 News tonight at 11. Thank you for watching Weather for Weather Geeks tonight, and have a great rest of your Wednesday night.